Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another Timepieces for Tomorrow video. Now today on the wrist I've got the Tudor Black Bay Chrono, and this is the reverse panda or inverted panda. It's got the black primary dial and the white silvery subdials. Now within this video I'm going to review a watch collection, so if you have a wristwatch collection that you'd like for me to review, just email review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com. You can send me a nickname, you can send me your first name, however you want to be addressed within the video, and I'll review your collection and provide guidance for future acquisitions. So without further ado, let's jump right into this review. Now this review is for John. As I mentioned, I'll use an alias or a first name only. And John says, short bio, 25 years old, finishing a master's degree, then going to work in finance in a large U.S. city. I like the idea of keeping a small collection. What do you think of each piece? When should I be wearing each piece? What should I do next? I have about a 7.4 inch wrist and really wanted to get the Black Bay 58 Blue. That's a Tudor, by the way, but found it just a bit small for a dive watch. So let's go ahead and pop up a photo now of John's collection. So we're going to look at this in depth. So looking at the photo here, you can see from left to right. On the left you've got the Tudor Black Bay GMT, or the Tudor Black Bay Pepsi, because it's got the blue and red bezel. And this is a GMT complication. Very nice wristwatch. To the right of it, you've got the Rolex Yacht-Master. Wow, that's very nice. It's the Rolex Yacht-Master 40 Everose two-tone with a chocolate dial. And then to the right of it, you've got the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master calendar with rose gold new JLC rotor. So that's a very good looking piece. And up top, you've got one I've never seen. It's a Damasko DK32. And John said it's a small German brand tool field watch, their new in-house movement model. So that's interesting. That's something unique that you don't see that often. It's on a NATO strap. So let's look at all of these individually. But before we do, I want to continue to talk about the collection here. So number one thing I want to mention is that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So his watch roll has 3 slots. So if he's going to add to the collection, he's going to need to get another watch roll, or he's going to need to get a watch case, a watch box. So as it is now, he's got 3 in the roll and then 1 on the wrist. So that works. Looking at all of these, you'll notice that all of these have a date, and it's not as obvious on the Jaeger-LeCoultre, but we're going to talk about that in more depth here in a minute as we look at the individual photos. But a common trait among all of these is that they all have a date. They have only one is on a NATO strap, so he's got a NATO strap. He's got a leather strap on the Jaeger-LeCoultre, and then he's got stainless bracelet, or actually a two-tone bracelet on the Rolex Yacht-Master, and a stainless steel bracelet on the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. So let's break this down here. Let's circle back to his questions. He says, I like the idea of keeping a small collection. What do you think of each piece? Well, John, I think you've done a really good job. I think especially, like you said, you're 25 years old. That's still pretty young. So, to have this good of a collection at 25 is quite an accomplishment. So you should definitely feel great about that. I don't have anything negative to say, and we're going to dissect this in a lot of depth here as we go forward here. And what do you think of each piece? Well, we're going to hit on that. And what should I get next? So let's look at your pieces now, and then I'm going to provide my best recommendation as to what you should get next. So we're going to go left to right here. So you've got the Tudor Black Bay GMT. So first of all, you express that you do not like the Tudor Black Bay 58, which is a 39mm case size. This Tudor Black Bay GMT is a 41 millimeter case. It's thicker than a lot of wristwatches, but since you seem to prefer the larger wristwatch presence, at least with Tudor, that works for you. So I think this is a great piece. GMT, an essential complication that every collector should have. The waterproofness of this, or water resistance rating, I'm pretty sure, what is it, 200 feet, 200 meters, 660 feet. I'd have to double check that. But, you know, it's one you could wear anywhere confidently. Obviously, it has a screw-down crown, and it has that blue and red bezel, which a lot of people in the Rolex and Tudor world refer to as the Pepsi bezel. So you've got something that's unique. It's got an aluminum bezel insert, which is nice, because that's something that should develop a nice patina with age. If you go with ceramic bezels, like if you were looking at the Rolex Pepsi, for example, the Rolex GMT, the current reference of it comes with a ceramic bezel, so you're not going to develop that pleasing patina. But I think you've done a great job with the Tudor Black Bay GMT. It's something you could wear. You know, if you said you're young, you're in finance, and you're going to be living in a big city. So, you know, this is something I would wear if I didn't really know where I was going. You know, maybe you don't want to draw attention, but you want something that you can wear. And if that get together with your financial buddies, if it turns into jumping in a pool somewhere or a hot tub, you know, you've got something that's capable of that. And if you have a lot of fun, you end up in a different time zone, well, you've got that GMT complication. So it's just a very versatile timepiece. It's got the Rolex DNA. Obviously, Tudor is a sister brand of Rolex, so you've got the great design, you know, something that's built to last, something that will likely remain highly desirable, but it doesn't scream Rolex. So it's kind of an under-the-radar piece that is basically a Rolex as far as water resistance is concerned, and as far as build quality and potential future trade or resale value, if that was a concern. You know, I think it's one that'll probably it's been kind of soft. You know, it spiked when it came out, but the secondary market for this right now, for the Tudor Black Bay GMT 41 millimeter, is pretty soft. Now, in my opinion, if Tudor releases a Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT, I think that's going to be a super hot seller. I know you like the larger piece, and that's what it's all about, is going what fits you. But I think a lot of people will, if they release this or a similar GMT reference in the Tudor Black Bay 58 line, I think that's going to be a phenomenal timepiece. But there's nothing wrong with this. I think for you that's perfect. A GMT is an essential piece to have. You know, good job. You know, good job with that acquisition. Now we're going to go to the middle. And of course, this is the Rolex Yachtmaster. I think I kind of see where you are as a collector. You know, as they say, every man's got to have a Rolex. So, you know, you've got that Rolex, but you've done the Rolex in a way where you're probably one and done. And the reason I'm saying that is the fact that you went two-tone. You wanted something that was really nice. This is probably your Grail timepiece. You probably don't really desire to trump it, but it's something that you know, it's not a Submariner. Rolex Yachtmaster is super nice, great timepiece. It's still highly water resistant, but I think you went with this because you wanted something that, you know, Rolex people would know, hey, that's a Rolex, but your average person on the street, you know, it doesn't look like a Submariner. It doesn't look like a GMT with that shiny ceramic bezel. So it's a little bit different. But you got the two-tone. You know, you didn't want something that was too blingy. You know, you didn't want solid gold. So you went with the two-tone. But you went with that because you needed to have a gold timepiece, a yellow gold timepiece in your collection. And I think, actually, I could just call that yellow gold. That's not yellow gold. That's my bad. That's Everose. That's not yellow gold. That was a grammatical error that I just had. But yeah, you did a good job with that. That Yachtmaster is a great choice, and I don't see anything wrong. I'm glad you got it on the two-tone bracelet instead of a rubber strap. You know, I don't like seeing the yacht. I know a lot of people like them, but I personally don't like the Yachtmasters on a rubber strap. I think that's a great piece. That's a piece, you know, again, you're young, you're in finance. That's a piece if you're going to be around a lot of people and you kind of want to impress, but you don't want to just be, you know, perceived as ostentatious, like, you know, like if you had a, you know, you wouldn't be the person that would wear a Submariner solid gold. You know, that's just not your style. So you got this, you know, it makes a statement, but it's not, you know, an in-your-face kind of statement. So it's a great choice. But this is what you would wear, you know, if water may be involved, you know, a swimming pool, a hot tub, you know, a trip, you know, one of your financial buddies, they say, hey man, hop in the PJ, hop in the private jet, you know, let's go down to the house in St. Bart's or something like that. You know, this is the watch you would wear in that situation, because it's not too blingy, but it's highly water resistant. It makes a statement, and it's really a unique piece. You know, when I think of Yachtmaster, I don't think of this color combination. I think it looks really good. You know, for me, this is something that I could consider, but you've already got a GMT. If I was looking at this is a piece that I would put side by side if I was trying to decide between a GMT Master root beer, you know, the two-tone GMT Master, or this. Now, obviously, this doesn't have a GMT complication, but that would be, you know, if you were just going to get one of the two, I think I would pit this in close comparison with the GMT Master 2 root beer. But that's a great piece. You know, I can see that as your wear anywhere, you know, makes the boldest statement out of any of your four pieces. Now, we're going to hop over to your Jaeger-LeCoultre. Now, this Jaeger-LeCoultre, the JLC Master Calendar, the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Calendar, and you said it has a rose gold JLC rotor. So, let me see. I don't think you sent me a picture of the case back, which is fine. You know, no problem. But, yeah, so this probably has an exhibition case back. I've got the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control. It's just the one with the date. And I like, a lot of people with Jaeger-LeCoultre, they like the Reverso, but a lot of people can't wear the rectangular shaped wristwatches. They just look weird or feel weird. I know it does on my wrist. I know that Reverso is Jaeger-LeCoultre's most popular reference, but I think you going with Master Control, just like I went with Master Control. Obviously, yours is more complicated. Just to dissect it here, I mean, you've ticked all the boxes. You've got a dress watch. It's on a leather strap. It's manufactured by Jaeger-LeCoultre, which is a very high horology wristwatch manufacturer. It doesn't scream, you know, look at me, dude, look at me, like an Audemars Piguet or a Patek Philippe, but it's a phenomenal wristwatch. You've got the day, you've got the month, and then you've got a moon phase, you've got a small seconds, and what a lot of people watching this video may not realize, the date. So the date, if you look around the ring, the outer ring of the dial, you can see above the 12 o'clock position, there's 31. That's the 31st day of the month. And then you go to the right, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, counts all the way up to 31. So it has a date, but it doesn't have a date window. You know, this is, and obviously the moon phase complication inside of the small seconds. And then you've got like a little crescent moon shape on the date hand. So I mean, this is a very sophisticated timepiece, and you know, this is one of those things. You know, you're invited out. You know, you're 25 now, so you've been in the game. I'd say you've been in the game for a few months. You know, you've proven your abilities within the financial realm, and you're going out to one of the best steakhouses in that big city, and you strap on the Jaeger-LeCoultre. And you know, you're in there with people, you're in there with senior people of this company, and you know, and they're talking and they're complimenting you and this, that, and the other, and then somebody says, hey, what's that on your wrist? You know, you notice they've been looking at it, and you say, oh, that's a Jaeger-LeCoultre, and it strikes up a conversation, and then you know, they flash their wrist, and they've probably got an Audemars Piguet or a Patek Philippe, and then you know, they start asking questions, and you start talking about the piece and how Jaeger-LeCoultre is referred to as the Master Control, because they subject their timepiece with the movement inside of the actual timepiece for 1,000 hours. So it's highly precise, it's highly sophisticated, it's a very well-respected Swiss watch brand. So that's your ultimate dress watch right there. I don't, you know, looking at your other timepieces, I don't see you being the type person that would even desire an additional dress watch. If maybe when you hit it really big in your financial career, maybe you'll get that, Longa or Patek Philippe. Maybe that's kind of your, in a yellow gold case. Maybe that's kind of your dress watch that would outshine this one. But I mean, this one right here, it ticks so many boxes, and it's even got the moon phase. I mean, you pretty much, if I was going to say get a one and done dress watch, I'd say you've done it here. I mean, you've got the day of the week, you've got the month, you got the moon phase, you got the small seconds, and then you got a date. And then it should, and I can't see the back within this photo, but I'm pretty sure it has an exhibition case back, because you mentioned the rotor. You mentioned that it has a rose gold new JLC rotor. So, that is a very nice dress watch. So you got your, hey, I don't care. I may kind of be in a sketchy area at times, so I need to kind of be careful about what I wear. That's when you would wear the Tudor Black Bay. Or you would wear the Tudor Black Bay GMT if you were going somewhere and you didn't want to say, hey, I got a Rolex on. Obviously, in that same situation, maybe you're going to a questionable area to do business, you couldn't wear the Jaeger-LeCoultre, even though a lot of people wouldn't even recognize it, but you couldn't wear it because you may scratch it, you may damage the leather strap, you may bang it into a wall and scratch the case, you may scratch the sapphire crystal. I mean, these things are somewhat fragile, and you couldn't jump in a pool with it. So if you got into a dicey situation and you had to jump in the water to swim to safety, you wouldn't want to have that Jaeger-LeCoultre on your wrist. The Tudor Black Bay GMT would be perfect, because if you did, if you were in a dicey situation and things didn't work in your favor, at least, it's just a Tudor, which is a great wristwatch. But the fact that it's a Tudor also, it may not attract the attention. If you're in a dicey area, they may see that and not really think anything about it. Whereas if you were wearing the two-tone Yachtmaster, just the fact that it is two-tone, that's going to attract attention. And if they get closer and they see the dial, they're going to be like, okay, it's a Rolex. So, I can see you've got a use case for all of these. Again, they're all very nice wristwatches. But the Tudor Black Bay GMT is your casual wear anywhere. Obviously, your dress watch and dress only is your Jaeger-LeCoultre. Your more, hey, kind of look at me, but not screaming, hey, look at me. That's your Rolex Yachtmaster two-tone. And the other piece, admittedly, I've never seen it. A Damasko DK32. I've never seen it. You said it's a small German brand tool field watch. Their new in-house movement model. So with that, you've got something, it's on a NATO strap. I'd be curious, comment below and tell me what's the water resistance rating of that particular reference. Looking at it on the NATO, that's just a very casual, I'm assuming it's probably got a screw down crown. That's something you would strap on and not really care about, but it's also something you would strap on that people would, they would potentially see that, you're wearing Tudor, you're wearing Rolex, you're wearing Jaeger-LeCoultre. And then they see that field watch on your wrist, and that would be a conversation starter, because not everybody's familiar with that manufacturer. So, I think it's very very plain. It's got, it does have a date at the 3 o'clock position. Excuse me, but I think, and it does have crown guards. So, and the fact you've got it on a NATO strap, that suggests it's probably, out of your 4 timepieces in your current collection, I would say it is probably your beater wristwatch. Because it's not. I would assume that you probably entered that one at a much lower price point than any of these other 3. So great collection. I mean, especially, man, for John, for 25 years old. Just starting out you're finishing your master's degree in finance. So, I mean, this is very impressive. But, as I mentioned, if you add, to get to your next question here, it says, what should I do next? Well, the next thing you need to do is you need to save up for a watch box. Now, you know, you can go and you can get, you know, my best advice is to get one that fits 12 watches, you know, because you're starting out. I mean, you're 25 and you're already at 4. You know, you're going to be past the 10 and, you know, approaching the dozen mark before you know it. I mean, you're obviously, you know, you've got the wristwatch bug, so, you know, you might as well plan ahead. Now, a watch box doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. I mean, I know a lot of people that get the high-end watch boxes, which is fine. But for me, dude, I just got on eBay, bought a cheap, like $25 box, and it's got stitching in it. I mean, cosmetically, it looks fine. The pillows for the wristwatches are kind of, you know, unimpressive, but cosmetically, it looks fine. And admittedly, the only person that's going to be handling those pillows or opening that watch box is me. So for that reason, you know, you may just want to get an inexpensive watch box. And then see, then what's going to happen, you're going to see those empty slots. And you're going to, in your mind, you're going to be planning, okay, well, what do I need next? What do I need next? And we're about to get to that. But that's what's going to happen. So the watch box, get a nice looking one, $25, $40, but something that's cheap because you don't want to take away from your wristwatch fund. So what do you need next? Well, you've got all these wristwatches with date complications. So that's one thing you've got throughout all of them is date. You already got a moon phase. You've already got a GMT. You've already got and I don't want to call the Yachtmaster a diver, but the Yachtmaster is let's just call it a dressy nautical style wristwatch with water resistance. I mean, what else do you want to call it? And then you got your field watch. So what you need next, you definitely need the next thing, the immediate need would be a chronograph. So, you know, one I would recommend, you seem to like Tudor. You like the 41 millimeter case size, Tudor Black Bay Chrono. I would steer you towards a reverse Panda, which is the one like I have right here. But you may like, you know, you're younger, you're 25, so you may like the Panda. You may like the white primary dial and the black subdials. Again, matter of personal preference, but I will tell you on the Panda dial, the snowflake hands are going to blend more with the primary dial. So that's something to take into consideration. But definitely a chronograph. If you don't go Tudor, I mean, obviously you're probably not going to find a Rolex Daytona. And you may not even would want a Rolex Daytona, even if you found one at retail. But you could also consider Omega, the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon, either the Hesalite, if you want to be historically correct, with the plasticky type crystal, or the Man on the Moon with the sapphire crystal, if you want something that can take a little bit more beating. Keep in mind, though, that with the Omega Speedmaster, you're not going to get the screw-down pushers like you get with the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. And then if I wasn't going to go Moonwatch, which that one, I mean, that's a pretty safe thing. I mean, the value of that has continued to go up. If you're concerned with future trade or resale potential, I mean, the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon Hesalite or Sapphire, those are probably going to continue to go up. But one I would look at would be the Omega Speedmaster Ed White. The Ed White's a phenomenal piece. You definitely need a chronograph. You know, other chronographs, you got a Breguet. You know, Breguet makes some great chronographs, but that's more of a dress type chronograph. You know, if you want a tool chronograph, go with a Black Bay Chrono. If you want a chronograph that's not going to get wet and, well, that you shouldn't get wet because it doesn't have screw-down pushers, then you could go with the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon or the Ed White. Breitling also has a variety of chronographs. Actually, the chronograph complication is very popular within the Breitling brand. So, you know, Breitling would be another brand to consider. Although, admittedly, I will say that Breitling's brand image, at least recently, is a little bit different than it was 10 or 20 years ago. Not saying they're bad. I mean, I love my Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2. That's not a chronograph, it's just dive watch. But I've also got the Breitling Super Avenger, which is huge. But that was back when the wristwatches were big. It's got a Valjoux 7750. It's a great timepiece, very well made. You can find a lot of great chronograph references from Breitling. But again, the future resale for most of those is probably soft, and the desire for trade-in is probably not as much as some of these other ones. So, you know, what you have in front of you now, and I can't speak to the Damasco just because I'm not that familiar with it, but what you have in front of you, all of those pieces, highly desirable. Of those, obviously, the Jaeger-LeCoultre is probably the softest, because even though they're a great wristwatch brand, their secondary market values are never really that great. Not that that matters to you. I mean, you may be the type person that's going to keep wristwatches forever, and that's the best case. So with that, you know, with that being the situation, you don't care if it's a watch that goes up several 100% in value, or if maybe you lose a little bit if you had to sell or trade. You know, maybe you don't care, and that's the best type. You know, buy what fits your wrist, buy what you want, but you definitely need a chronograph next. And the other thing I would say that you need next, you don't have just a simple wind and wear type wristwatch. You know, you need a Submariner, just a Submariner. You know, the Submariner date has the date and the Cyclops. You just need the Submariner. You know, get you a Submariner, no date. You know, the current reference or the previous, I've got the 114060, which is 40 millimeters. You may like the current Submariner reference, which is 41 millimeters. But you need the chronograph first, then you need the no date, and after that, you'll find what you need. I mean, you just need to keep me updated. Keep me updated regarding the collection, and I'll post follow-up videos and follow-up opinions. But you know, what you've done so far, there's nothing bad I can say about it. I mean, you've done especially, and I'm not bashing you for being 25. I wish I was that young again. But for 25 to assemble such a phenomenal 4-piece collection, I mean, you've done a bang-up job. You know, and back to that Damascus, I mean, that's a piece that people see, they won't be able to figure out because they see your other timepieces from all the big recognizable names, and they see that and they're like, well, what is this? You know, they know you wear nice wristwatches, so what is a Damasco? So that's a conversation starter, especially with finance. You know, you're gonna know especially if you're interfacing directly with customers, you're gonna know the type of customer you're meeting with, and with this collection, or even if it's not customers, if you're meeting with people internally within your financial business, you know which type of people or person you may encounter that day. So you've got a wristwatch collection where you could wear something that would be a positive in the eyes of any customer. And that's you know, with your field watch, that's just kind of, I mean, you couldn't wear that with a suit or a tie, but you know, if you're at a casual setting, you could. The Jaeger-LeCoultre, you could wear that in front of anyone, because the truth is most people don't know what that is, and if they do know what it is, it's going to be a positive because they know wristwatches. It's not like a Rolex. Rolex can send the wrong message to some, you know, in sales, but you know, that's why you don't just have the Rolex. You've got the Jaeger-LeCoultre, which is the dress watch. It's highly complicated, very great choice with that, by the way. And then you've got the Tudor, which is kind of, well, hey, it's not a Rolex, and people, you know, not that any of this matters, but I analyze everything. I personally could care less what people think, because it's all about, you know, what feels best on my wrist, what I enjoy, what I wear the most. And that's what drives me to choose the next timepieces. And again, you know, your 4-piece right here is great, but I know just based upon how you worded all of this, your comments during my live premiere video, my recent premiere video for timepieces for tomorrow, you know, you've got the wristwatch bug, and I mean that's that's not just because of what you were saying within the live chat, but also what, you know, the way you've worded this email, the way you took the time to photograph each timepiece individually. I mean, you've got the wristwatch bug. So, you know, you've only barely started your wristwatch journey. I mean, you've got so much further to go, man. I mean, you're 25, you're finishing your Masters, and you know what's going to happen when you finish the Masters. You're going to have to celebrate and get another timepiece. And I have a feeling when that happens, that next acquisition is not going to be the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. You're going to want to go more upmarket. You know, so you may even, for that Masters completion, you may be looking at a celebration piece. And that could be something that could potentially trump, you know, I may have been incorrect with my read, but that could be something that could potentially trump the Yachtmaster or the Jaeger-LeCoultre. And my gut's telling me, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence here. I'm almost thinking you may have another dress piece in mind because you are in finance and it's probably a very dressy type work environment. So I have a feeling you don't want to just have one dress watch because, well, you got two stainless sports watches that you could wear in a formal occasion, but you've only got one dress watch. So I have a feeling you're probably going to add another dress watch to celebrate obtaining your Masters. Now the Damasco, or did I say that correctly? Damasco doesn't count because you can't be seen wearing that to work with a shirt and tie or suit and tie. That's strictly, you know, and I don't even know if I'd wear it to the golf course. I personally don't know where I would wear the Damasco. I'm not poking fun at it. It's a very casual watch, and I think that's why you put it on, you know, why you put it on the NATO strap, to just emphasize, hey, you know, I'm not trying to turn this into something that it's not. You know, it's on this NATO strap. It's, you know, it's basically seatbelt material. You know, this isn't something that you would wear in a lot of environments. So really, you've only got one dress watch. So I'm going to step back and say that to celebrate obtaining your Masters, you're probably going to want to add a second dress watch. And I think for you, since you've got this rather complicated dress watch, I might would look at a Vacheron Constantin Patrimony or a Patek Philippe Calatrava. Something simple. You know, you don't need all of the complications. You just need just a basic dress watch that's highly regarded on a leather strap. You know, you could also go with something. You could go with another Jaeger-LeCoultre, but go for something in rose gold. You know, get another Master Control Series, something a little bit different. They've got a lot of variety in the Master Control Series. So, you know, you could look at, you know, a dress watch, whether it's Jaeger-LeCoultre or another manufacturer, something that uses precious metals. I'm assuming, and again, I'd have to look this up, but I'm assuming that the case of this Master Control is probably stainless steel. So that's why I'm saying you know, if you add another dress watch, you know, something with a precious metals case, you know, rose gold, I don't know about yellow gold, but rose gold or white gold probably would be where I would be. So, yeah. And then after you do that, then you got to get a chronograph. And I would go with the Tudor Black Bay. I mean, there's, you know, you like the Tudor Black Bay GMT, you know, you would love the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. But, you know, this isn't strong enough statement to be like, oh, I just achieved my Masters. I just obtained my Masters. You know, you need that second dress watch. And, you know, again, Patek Philippe Calatrava, Vacheron Constantin Patrimony, or another Jaeger-LeCoultre with precious metals case. So that is really good stuff. And John, most importantly, you purchased a piece of merch to support this review. You purchased a coffee mug. So that is super cool. You didn't have to do that. I'm just thrilled that you sent me these photos and the excellent story to share with viewers here on Timepieces for Tomorrow. And everybody out there, if you want me to review your wristwatch collection, send me photos, email me. It's review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com, and I'll research everything you got, and I'll film a review just like I did here for John. And also, don't forget to check out the merch. John got a coffee mug, but I've got sweatshirts like this one, t-shirts, coffee mugs like John got, a pint glass, and stickers. And I've got some more merch that my team's working to put together. My team being myself, because I'm an independent YouTube channel. So appreciate your support, your viewership. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell icon when you do, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day. Thanks again for watching this video, and want to remind everyone, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And if you've got a wristwatch or a wristwatch collection that you'd like for me to try to review within an upcoming video, send me an email, review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.